Spurs win. Cowboys win. Texans win. America wins. Woo! Monday morning, December 27th. Welcome, welcome. See if these headphones work. Headphones are always a good idea in radio. I've learned. John Williams, Sam Tobias, welcome in. Praise Tom Landry, Sam, absolutely. God bless America. Sam Tobias says, praise Tom Landry. Thomas Wade Landry to you. How about them Cowboys? NFC East champions. John Williams from Dallas. Welcome in, John. Gonna tilt my camera a little bit. Oh, actually, I can move my chair up. So I'm a little more framed. We need to be aesthetically there. As you can see, Bryn Forbes wearing his Haas Holding t-shirt and hat. And there's Haas, professional wrestler, friend of the show, Haas Holding. Tracy Bogert, what is up? Tracy Bogert in the house, chairman of the Bexar County MAGA Republicans and coronavirus and election fairness denier. Welcome in. Good to have you. How about them Cowboys? Says Tracy Bogert. Here we come. Gonna do a little Monday morning radio. Final Monday of 2021. You know the day destroys the night. Bring on to the other side. Bring on to.
Now, Chris Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, and praise be to the football and basketball gods on high, as yesterday, the day after Christmas, we all receive a Christmas gift as the Dallas Cowboys win big last night. The Houston Texans win big yesterday against a pretty darn good LA Chargers football team. And last night, the San Antonio Spurs win big as well. 3 in a row for the Spurs, 4 out of 5 for the Spurs, 10 out of 15 for the Spurs. As if you're on the live video feed, I wear my Spurs hard hat. Why? Because it's hard to win 3 in a row and 4 out of 5 and 10 out of 15. And it's hard to win without your best player, DeJounte Murray, who was out with health and safety protocol issues, a.k.a. apparently some COVID issues of some kind, maybe some exposure. We don't know. It's health and safety protocols, baby. But a great win for the Cowboys, for the Texans, for the Spurs. They all win on the same day and the same night. God bless America. God bless Texas. God bless the Cowboys. God bless the Texans. God bless the Spurs. God bless Gregory Charles Popovich, the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. We'll hear his post-game comments. We'll listen into those in the 7 o'clock hour. So much to talk about on this final Monday of 2021. Can you believe it? 2022 will be here at the stroke of midnight, Saturday morning, aka just after Friday night. Party on Garth on Friday night. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Chris Duel show without Shannon Salty Sweeney because she is on vacation. She plans her year to save a week of vacation for the final week of the year. She did this last year, and she is out of here. And we hope she's having a great time. We sure she is. We expect a full report from her 1 week from today, which will be our first show of 2022. However, no Shannon Salty Sweeney in the house, but we got you covered because making the entire show go, the man who pushes the buttons and pushes the levers and does all the technical stuff I have no knowledge about whatsoever. I'm just an ancient caveman lawyer. All I know is to talk into the stick, and somehow magically you're able to hear me. I don't know how this technology works, but this man does. He is the pride of Oklahoma State and the man who told us the first Sonic in America is still existing in Stillwater, Oklahoma. The one, the only. You know him, you love him, you can't get enough of him. Jeremy KOLOK, what is up, man?
Chris, I'm happy to be back in here this morning. It's always good to come off a nice weekend where you have as you mentioned, a Spurs victory, a Cowboys victory, and a Houston Texans victory just to finish it off, the cherry on top. You know what I mean? So I'm doing well. It feels, I don't know. There's like a different feeling about coming in the morning off of 3 wins, 3 victories. How are you doing this morning, Chris?
I always do better after a Cowboys victory. And then, as you said, Cowboys win, Texans win, Spurs win. I can't even wrap my head around the last time that happened on the same day and the same night. So we'll get into that. But it's so true. This is how deep I am a Cowboys fan, Jeremy. I had kids at school, at Holmes High School in San Antonio in the 70s. I'm an old man, get off my lawn. But all the kids knew I was a hardcore Cowboys fan. And they knew I lived and died with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And at the time, their head coach, Thomas Wade Landry, praise Tom Landry, their quarterback, Roger Staubach, running back, Tony Dorsett, wide receiver, Drew Pearson, Bob Lilly on that defensive line at defensive tackle, Mr. Cowboy, number 74, Bob Lilly. So when the Cowboys would lose on Sunday, there would be times in high school I did not go to school the next day because I knew that I would be razzed and humiliated and eviscerated by Cowboy-hating classmates at Holmes High School. I took it so personally, and I was so invested, and there's still a little bit of that in me today, where the flip side, like today, we come in off not only a Cowboys victory, but a Cowboys victory off their long-standing rival dating back to the Landry era, maybe the most hated rival ever in Cowboys history if you add it all up. I know the rivalry's not been the same as it once was in modern day, but some of us go way back to the Landry era. You beat this Washington football team. You beat them down so badly they're fighting, having fist fights on the sidelines last night, and you win the NFC East. So the flip side of my being so bummed out when the Cowboys would lose that I would not go to school the next day, the flip side is I'm walking on cloud 9, Jeremy. I'm excited, I'm happy, and on this final Monday of 2021, all is right with the world.
Well, I think it definitely carries over a little bit harder when the Cowboys have a performance like that on Sunday night as well. Because if it was at noon, you know what I mean, you would have had the rest of your day to kind of live it up yesterday, soak it in, let it marinate. And then today, we would have been closer to almost a full day after the fact now. But it still feels like I'm post game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still I'm still in that post-game victory formation mood this morning.
As am I. A nice victory formation reference. Jeremy, how was your Christmas? Anything eventful for you over the weekend on Christmas?
It was pretty good. Not anything out of the ordinary or unique, really. Just a pretty chill Christmas. Some family time, lots of sports. I'm
Yes.
glad we got all of our basketball in on Christmas Day.
Oh my God,
I'm
there was a
glad
lot of basketball.
Yeah, I'm glad we got in our Spurs game yesterday and then our nice, NFL Christmas weekend games. I mean,
Yes.
it felt like a very eventful sports weekend just because, the way it fell on into the weekend Christmas this year. And, yeah, the bowl games haven't been quite as lucky, but the
Mm-mm.
ones that we have had have
Yeah.
been good, which I take what I can get. So I've been very happy the past few days just with our sports output.
It was
It's
a
been
big
quality.
yes. Speaking of bowl games, the Valero Alamo Bowl is Wednesday night, 2 nights from now. Obviously, you probably know it's Oklahoma versus Oregon. Tomorrow on the show at 8:35, Derek Fox, the president and CEO of the Valero Alamo Bowl, will get a last-minute update, an Alamo Bowl Eve update tomorrow on the show at 8:35. We're looking forward to that. Yeah, one Christmas Day, Jeremy, we had a couple of great games that I was really looking forward to. First of all, your afternoon game in the NFL, Cleveland at Green Bay. I'm still a dreamer, Jeremy. I'm still holding out hope the Cowboys can get the number 1 seed in the NFC and therefore earn that first round bye. There's only one per conference this year with the new schedule and format. And then therefore you would earn home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And I was hoping Baker Mayfield, who I refer to as Johnny Manziel 2.0, I mean, Baker, I love your TV commercials. They're really, really entertaining. Your performance on the football field, not so much. Baker, 3 interceptions in the first half at Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers in a game that Cleveland was there, other than those picks and some mistakes. I mean, it was possible. If Baker Mayfield would have played up to his first overall draft pick in the NFL draft potential, Cleveland could have beaten Green Bay on Christmas Day, Saturday. 3 picks in the first half on the road at Lambeau against the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers, who at the moment, next to Patrick Mahomes, is the best quarterback in the National Football League. You're not going to win throwing 3 picks, much less 3 picks in the first half. Very disappointed in Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns' inability to really show up in a big way for a game they needed badly against the Green Bay Packers, and the Cowboys could have used as well. And then the night game, the Indianapolis Colts were in action. And the Indianapolis Colts, as you know, Jeremy, I have been watching Hard Knocks, and I highly recommend it. It's very, very well done. I've been watching Hard Knocks, Hard Knocks in season with the Indianapolis Colts. Didn't know what to expect. Didn't think it would be that good. Wasn't a big Colts fan. I love Hard Knocks with the Indianapolis Colts. Colts against the Cardinals. Again, I was pulling for the Colts because I'm kind of digging them now that I see them on Hard Knocks. Cardinals are an adversary for the Cowboys, potentially standings-wise in the NFC. So I wanted the Colts to win. Indeed, they did, 22-16. So you're right. A couple of really, really good games on Christmas Day.
Yes, sir. You mentioned the Packers, and I guess as a Cowboys fan, it's interesting because we're usually not in this situation where we're hoping for other teams to lose to try to get the 1 seed, right? I mean, at least in my lifetime, that is not
Yeah.
very common as a Cowboys fan. But all it's really done as far as watching the Packers this year has made me realize how good they are at making you think they have a chance to lose or that they might lose. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's kind of frustrating just as me watch it because normally, most seasons I just watch the Packers as a general football fan. I'm like, man, Aaron Rodgers is really good, and they won a lot of these close games. And now that I actually need them to lose, it feels like they're really good at letting the Browns hang around just for my hope or whatever reason, just for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, who were obviously the better team at the end of the day, especially with the way Baker was playing.
Yeah.
Just for them to get it done in the end, just for me to waste 4.5 hours or whatever of my life.
That was not a satisfying ending, and it was tight at the end, 24-22. Packers over the Browns, 24-22. So you take away those early picks by Baker Mayfield in that first half that led Packers scored 21 points in the first half. Now, what's a little frightening, Jeremy, I'm looking at the Packers' home record because, I mean, in all probability now, I think the Packers have like Minnesota and Detroit left. Let me look. I'm going to pull up their schedule. Yes, the Packers are home Sunday night against the Vikings at Lambeau, and they close out at the Lions. Lions have been tough and chippy. Neither of those is a gimme, but Packers will be favored significantly in both games. In reality, if we're going to be honest, Jeremy, Packers are not going to lose again. Packers are going to have the best record in the NFC. Cowboys may or may not have the second seed. I'll get into that a little bit. It's a little deceiving when you compare the Cowboys record to Tampa Bay's record, which is an identical record. Remember, Tampa Bay beat the Cowboys on opening night. They've got the head-to-head win, but in a three-way tie, which they're in right now, the Cowboys win the three-way tiebreaker with the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys. So if that three-way tie becomes a two-way tie between the Buccaneers and the Cowboys at the end of the season, Cowboys will fall into the 3 slot. So don't be fooled by that. And that's big too. That's the difference between in the second round of the playoffs. Do you want to go to Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady, or do you want him to come to your house at AT&T Stadium? But what I'm getting at, and we'll get into all this morning, but Jeremy, the Packers this year at home at Lambeau Field, where in almost all certainty the road to the Super Bowl will go through, the Packers are 7-0 at home at Lambeau Field. It'll be cold. It'll be late January. Remember what happened last time the Cowboys went and Dez caught it. It's going to be a hell of a task for the Cowboys, the Buccaneers, or anybody to go to Lambeau in the NFC Championship game and beat a badass Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, isn't this so fun though? As a Cowboys fan, I know it's kind of nerve-wracking as we near the playoffs, but normally we're talking about a tiebreaker scenario, or like, oh, we have the head-to-head over them, in a situation for us to get into the playoffs, just to get in. Yeah, and so I'm having fun. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still in the victory formation mode coming off of last night, so I guess that's part of it. But I'm having fun as a Cowboy fan. The ups and downs of this year, but just, I mean, we kind of know we have something special. I guess that's the fun part, and you're just, I mean, knock on wood,
Yeah.
avoid injuries and avoid COVID to the correct players, and let's roll into January and February here.
Couple of things. Number one, and I'll pull the quote up. Roger Staubach, speaking at the game yesterday before kickoff, said, I don't like I'm paraphrasing here, and I'll pull up the quote, and I'll get it exact later on in the show. But I'm paraphrasing what I read, what Roger said last night. Roger said, you know what? I don't like making predictions. He said, however, I look at this Cowboys team, and I look at the way Dak Prescott is playing, and I look at the way they're peaking right now, and he said, I expect this Cowboys team to go deep into the playoffs, which was to come from Roger. That's amazing. Another thing, here we are in December, and the Cowboys are peaking. I mean, that's so rare. As you mentioned, Jeremy, in the Romo era and the Dak Prescott era, the Cowboys are usually kind of floundering in December. So they're winning games and peaking in December, which is beautiful. And before we go to break, I do see that on Facebook Live, Hector Gomez wrote this. Hector writes, special day, not only for the wins of our favorite teams, but today is the birthday for my dear wife, Jane Briggs Gomez. So our first birthday shout out of the morning. And Hector and Jane are big supporters of this radio show. We love them. So Jane, happy birthday. Jane Briggs Gomez, happy birthday on this December 27th. God bless America. God bless the Dallas Cowboys, the Houston Texans, and the San Antonio Spurs. They all win yesterday. It's morning in America. Life is good once again. As a Cowboys fan, as a Texans fan, as a Spurs fan, we got lots to talk about. NFL football, college bowl games, NBA, breaking sports news, and more. He's Jeremy KOLOK, Shannon, Salty, Sweeney on vacation. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us till 9 o'clock this morning on the Chris Duel Show. Beth Settle. Good morning, Beth Settle. How are you this morning? Good. Hector, I'm glad Jane heard the birthday shout out. Coming out of Ticket 760 in San Antonio and AM 1300 The Zone in Austin. Happy birthday, Jane. Good morning, Beth Settle. You were up early in the first half hour. Very cool. Jane is listening with me. Hey, this is my third cup of coffee. And actually the big old mug, I had two at home, and that's a big old mug. So that's a big old cup of coffee. Let me stretch a little bit. I may have to heat up my coffee. So I got a Christmas packet from Haas Holding. So he got me this. That's a Haas Holding hat on top of Bryn Forbes. I'll show it closer later. A Haas Holding t-shirt. Haas, big friend of the show, professional wrestler. And that is a Haas Holding autographed 8x10. Tracy Bogert has to punch in. Axel J. Miller. Axel says 22 degrees in Denver this morning. Axel, it has been like 79, 80 degrees for a high for the last several days. I came into work this morning. It was 64 degrees this morning. In fact, I can tell you specifically from my app I think it said it was going to be 64 like all morning. I'll bet you it's still 64. Let's find out. Then I'm going to go heat up my coffee. Yep. San Antonio, cloudy, 64 degrees, with a high today of 73. How about, do we have Austin? We're also coming to you out of Austin. Oh, a balmy 68 degrees in Austin this morning. Austin's high 77. Warmer in Austin today than San Antonio. 77 for a high in Austin. And as Axel says, 45 for a high in Denver. All right. I feel the need for more coffee. There's Jeremy for you. Up close and personal. Suitable for framing. He is kind of framed there. There is a frame. All right, I'm going to be back in a sec with more coffee. Chris Gonzalez says all of the Christmas stuff is gone and Valentine's stuff is going up. I saw Valentine's cards at HEB on display. Yes. Crazy. Crazy. Back in a sec. Axel, the sports grind came back on Friday. So I think they will now be back every day. They had, I guess, some kind of issues. They were kind of reloading with sponsors and stuff, I think. I don't fully understand what was going on. But they were back on, they were out for like a week or two, maybe two. And they were back on Friday. I think they're going to be back today. And I think it's back to normal for them. Sam Tobias, coffee run, 40,850. Presented by the Coffee Strato Tanker, which is right there. I fill that sucker up with coffee. It's a Cody brand from HEB because I can't afford Yeti. I don't make that Shannon Sweeney money. So, I get the low rent Cody. And by the way, Cody's at Port Aransas, not connected, but there's a place called Cody's that has been at Port Aransas forever. I remember going in the 70s. And last time my wife and I were in Port Aransas, what did we got? Like tilapia tacos, as I recall, that were pretty darn outstanding. So when in and I got another pro tip for you. When in Port Aransas, mouth doesn't work at 6:36 in the morning. My other one is Port A Pizza. Port A Pizza is spectacular. And the delivery, we were staying at a little condo on the beach. They quote you a delivery time of like 40 minutes. And the pizza's there in like, I don't even know how they make it and get it to you. Pizza was like at the door in 18 minutes, and it was spectacular. I'm just saying. So Port A Pizza and Cody's. Cody's for the tilapia tacos, a.k.a. fish tacos. John Williams says, all that coffee that Chris drinks must be hard on his bladder. Yeah. Might be a little too much information if I would describe that situation. Let's just say I wear a Fitbit and I get a whole lot of steps on my Fitbit going to and fro. Oh, I got to look something up. It's harder to see without my Spurs glasses, or with my Spurs glasses. I had to take them off. Let's see. Okay, where's my Cowboys game? There it is. Box score. Play-by-play. Here we come, coming back on the air. We're going to do the high five play of the day.
With Shannon Salty Sweet.
Jeremy KOLOK nails it, as he always does, right there with the perfect tune for the perfect moment. I want to be a cowboy, baby. That's the fact, Dak. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Shannon is on vacation till next Monday. I'm sure she is lounging by day by a pool with an adult beverage with a straw and a little umbrella in it. At least that's what I'm visualizing. Chris Duel Show without Shannon Salty Sweeney until next Monday. Then she'll be back.
I think she's by the pool with a drink at this hour.
If I were Shannon, I would do that.
Would you?
I would. Pre-COVID, my wife and I on vacation, like in February during the NBA All-Star break, because I work the Spurs game, so I can't go on any kind of a vacation from beginning of the Spurs season in late October until whenever they're done, and I'm always hoping for a deep playoff run. However, during the NBA All-Star break, we would pre-COVID go to like an all-inclusive in Cancun, which had like buffets and stuff, which is now post-COVID, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know about the buffet, and I don't know about the wall-to-wall people and all that. But I mean, it's obviously so it's February, it's Cancun, it's like 82 degrees, and I would sometimes, when I could answer the bell, just like because it's the beach, I would get up at sunrise, and we're approaching sunrise now. I would get up at sunrise and just go watch the sunrise over the ocean, over the Gulf of Mexico, go get a drink because the bars are open, and it's all inclusive. So you're like eating and drinking nonstop.
Yeah, I got you.
So to answer your question, if I were Shannon and I were on vacation on this Monday, December 27th, and there was a pool open right now with adult beverages, I mean, plus I have my sister. The way she gets around that whole morning drinking is she has mimosas. She goes, "Oh, there's orange juice in here. Oh, this is a breakfast drink." She like pours like 90% champagne, or maybe 95% champagne, and like 5%, just a little eyedropper.
If you just put like one drop of orange juice, then it counts,
and you're good.
Yeah, then you're in the clear at that
Woo.
point.
So now I did ask you about Christmas weekend, and you brought up sports. Jeremy, in a moment, our high five play of the day, I'll give you a preview. It's Cowboys oriented. Any gift giving in your family? Did you get anything cool? Did you give anything cool for Christmas? What was that like?
My dad did pretty well this year. I feel like I'm a difficult person to gift for, and I recognize that because I'm like, what do I need? I mean, I kind of have, and I'm not trying to be all like humble. I just mean like I have the things that I want. You know what I mean? Like if I need something, like something breaks, then I just kind of replace it then or whatever. So I'm kind of difficult to gift for, but hey, the family did well, I feel like.
Very cool.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I give them zero ideas, zero clue, and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I don't know what to want when I'm just like, I want a Cowboys win or something like that. I want intangible things, but they did well. Did you get anything?
Well, see, and this might happen to you when you get old.
Dreams come true this year?
My dreams are coming true. I get to talk sports for a living with Jeremy KOLOK. I mean, and we're talking about the Cowboys and the Spurs and the Texans win. So that's dreams are coming true. So no, my wife and I decided years ago, and just almost describe what you described. So, we could get each other gifts, but we throughout the year when we want something individually, we just go get it. And lately, especially in the pandemic, we order it on Amazon. It's like, I would like that book. Okay, I'll order it on Amazon. Exactly. I would like this accessory for my camera. I'll order it on. So it's like, we decided first it turned into, just the kids in the family. We said, we won't get each other gifts because if I want something, I'll get it for myself. And, why waste the money? And we would wind up getting each other things that's like, they were nice and it's the thought that counts. But you're like, it's extraneous stuff. Like you said, we have everything we need. So my nieces and nephews, we'd get them gifts, and now they're all growing up. So, we're not Scrooge or anything, but we tend not to get gifts.
Yeah, I completely understand.
It's weird.
I completely understand. And you might be not to shift gears. I just don't want to miss what you said. You might be onto something about the downfall of the buffet.
You know what?
Come on.
People breathing on the food. People, and what's amazing, it was gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of the place at it's RIU. They've got a big chain of hotels. The Rio something beach something. Anyway, it's known for its buffets. There is steak, there is shrimp, there is lobster, there are desserts. They have restaurants, and at night we would usually go to the restaurants. And again, everything's all inclusive. But the buffets were spectacular. And we went because we didn't realize how insane the pandemic was going to get. We went Valentine's week 2020. When COVID was beginning, and we had heard of COVID, and it was like, well, we don't know really what that is. We don't know how serious it's going to be. And at this Cancun resort, you had people from all over the world. You had families from Japan, families from China, families from France, families from Spain, families from Argentina, families from Canada and the United States. And we're all noshing at the buffet, shoulder to shoulder. Oh, excuse me. I think I'll have some of that tilapia. Ooh, those crab cakes look good. Let me load up on some of those. But you're so right. And everybody's reaching for the food. Some people are touching that food. Everybody's breathing on that food. I really wonder, not just at a place like, a resort, but, other buffets, and buffets have always been just very, very cool over the years. Now, in the 70s, they started putting a sneeze guard over like a salad bar because some people would sneeze. That ain't cool. But I do wonder, and I even if COVID goes away, and sadly, we're hearing from some people that different variants may be with us forever now, just like the flu is with us forever. I don't know if I'm ever doing a buffet again, man. I hate to say that, that cool experience, I may never experience that again.
You could look at it from the bright side that you got a pretty incredible buffet experience for your last hurrah, like right at the end of the buffet's reign.
And
right
even
at the
know
end
it.
of time.
I didn't even know this is my last buffet.
Well, you wouldn't have wanted to know at the moment.
That's
You would
true.
have. It's just unfortunate all around. It's
Yeah.
But at least you got that. At least you have that nice memory.
Yes. And you talk about it's unfortunate all around. And again, COVID continues to wreak havoc on the world of sports. Just yesterday, midday, we found out that DeJounte Murray of the Spurs was entering health and safety protocols. We'll talk more about the Spurs' big 144-109 win last night over the Detroit Pistons. They got a back-to-back tonight against the Utah Jazz at the AT&T Center. Now, the Jazz will be without Donovan Mitchell tonight, their star, along with Rudy Gobert. Gobert will play, but Donovan Mitchell has some lower back issues, so he's not expected to play tonight. All right, it is 6:47. Let's do this thing. We do it every morning at this time. It's the High Five Play of the Day, which is appropriately sponsored by High Five. 2 locations in the Austin area. They got everything you are looking for at High Five. Big screen TVs all over the place, so you can watch every bit of sports you absolutely love. They've got great food, great drinks, food specials, drink specials, and like a gazillion games you can play, from bowling to laser tag to axe throwing to zombie dodgeball, all of which Shannon Salty Sweeney excels in. If you get a chance, get into one of the High Five locations in Austin. I am hoping eventually one will come to San Antonio. I am willing to trade a Las Palapas to Austin for a High Five in San Antonio. High Five, call me. I can make this happen. All right. Jeremy, I talk a good game. We've been talking Dallas Cowboys all morning long, as God intended. Last night, in the second quarter, Cowboys with the ball on the 1 yard line. They had gone 79 yards in 8 plays to get down to the 1 yard line. They were already up 28-7. And Dak Prescott threw a touchdown pass. But it didn't go to CD Lamb. It didn't go to Michael Gallup. It didn't go to Amari Cooper or Dalton Schultz. It went to number 78, offensive tackle, Terrence Steele. And oh, by the way, if you don't know, Terrence Steele was born in San Antonio, Texas, and Terrence Steele went to high school just outside San Antonio, appropriately at Steele High School. The current name of that high school is Byron P. Steele II High School. I say it's time to change the name of that school to Terrence Steele High School and put a statue of that dude up. He wound up coming out of Steele High School in Cibolo. He went to Texas Tech and excelled, and he has been a Dallas Cowboy since 2020, ironically, which we were just talking about. He has played in 30 games for the Cowboys. He has started 26 games on that offensive line, and last night caught his first ever NFL touchdown pass. Jeremy, I think we have the audio from last night's telecast of Terrence Steele of San Antonio and Cibolo Steele catching the touchdown pass from Dak last night.
And Prescott wide open, no problem. Terrence Steele on a tackle eligible. Feeding everybody tonight. 8 different receivers. Jerry Jones loving it.
And on the opposite sideline, it is a party. They are pulling out all the tricks. They're going to have some fun. They just clinched the division today, and it is on.
Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth on the telecast. Our high five goes to Terrence Steele. And I just like seeing a local guy, from the San Antonio or Austin area, in this case, just adjacent to San Antonio in Cibolo, coming out of Steele High School, Jeremy. Terrence Steele was recruited by BYU, North Texas, UTSA. I kind of wish he would have gone to UTSA, and Texas Tech. And he went to Texas Tech. And among other teammates, one of his teammates at Texas Tech was some dude named Patrick Mahomes. And among his duties at Texas Tech was protecting Patrick Mahomes. It's been a pretty cool ride, Jeremy, for Terrence Steele, and it got a little cooler last night catching a touchdown pass from Dak.
Yeah, that was really cool. I always stand. I always support very hard our San Antonio athletes, and especially our San Antonio professional athletes. I mean, the athletes that come from San Antonio. Look, we love our Tim Duncans, right? Our Tony Parkers and stuff, and the guys that embrace our city, but obviously they're from elsewhere, Manu and David Robinson. But I feel like it's very important to support the guys and girls that make it out of here into the pro landscape. I think it's very cool whenever, you're watching Jordan Clarkson or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I know what middle school he went to.
Crazy.
Like, I've seen his little shrine in the gym. I'm big on Terrence Steele. I think that was very cool.
Well, it's interesting is I hear you say that, you think of Austin, an Austin man, Drew Brees from Austin, Baker Mayfield and Nick Foles, especially all those quarterbacks, Austin Westlake. Austin is kind of a lot of great football players. Sam Ellinger, most recently, Longhorns, and now the Colts. A lot of great football players come out of the Austin area. And it is kind of weird that, it seems a little more rare for a big time NFL player to come from San Antonio. But for Terrence Steele to become a starter, 26 games out of his 30, a starter on that Dallas Cowboys offensive line, which was already much heralded, but had some injuries and needed a guy like Terrence Steele to excel on the offensive line. Hey, man, we'll talk more Dallas. This Cowboys team is getting healthy, and offensively and defensively, they're starting to peak. We went the whole 6 o'clock hour, and we haven't even talked Trayvon Diggs yet. And what Trayvon Diggs did last night, and the history that Trayvon Diggs of the Dallas Cowboys made last night. We will get into it. Dallas Cowboys win, Houston Texans win, San Antonio Spurs win. You want to jump in here with Jeremy and me? Phone number 800-707-9760. Coming up as well in the 7 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Spurs coach Greg Popovich after their big win last night. Don't go anywhere. With you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Oh! Jeremy rocking with the tune. tunes are absolutely rocking this morning, man. Outstanding. All right. Christopher Smith in Nairobi, Kenya this morning. Christopher, I got to mention that on the air. Yeah, Sam, you're right. Everybody was celebrating with Terrence Steele, and Zeke went and got the football and gave it to him. Good morning, Luisa Alanis. Travis, welcome in. James Rippey. James says, I don't care about no stinking COVID. I'm going to a buffet. I hear you, man. Hard to resist. Yeah, we talked about that a little last week, maybe on Friday, James. Manu and Becky Hammond nominated. I got a feeling both of them would get in on the first ballot. I mean, how can they not? Good morning, Jesse Bratton. Welcome in. Double post-Christmas trees. I saw Haas Holding in here, I think. Yeah, there he is. Don, I got the Christmas package, as you can see. My Haas Holding autographed 8x10. I am going to frame that, by the way. I'm going to go to Hobby Lobby and get a frame. Bryn Forbes wearing the Haas Holding hat and a Haas Holding t-shirt. And yes, there's more. I have the Haas Holding koozie, romping and stomping, and I've got yet another, and I'll wear this probably later in the week. Another Haas Holding Yellow Rose of Texas t-shirt. Very, very cool. Those of you who may be new to the show or the video feed, Don Holding, a.k.a. Haas Holding, was in his late 50s, always wanted to be a professional wrestler, was overweight, would have been a long shot by anybody's estimation to be a professional wrestler. And he said, you know what? I am going to go do my thing. He got a trainer. He went into the gym. And just a number of months ago, he made his professional wrestling debut. We've had him on the show. He's been a friend of this show and every show I've ever done on the radio. Great guy. I just love the story. It's just a story of inspiration. It's a story of never giving up on your dreams. It's a story of taking action and achieving your dreams against all odds. So very, very cool. All right. I think I need to heat the coffee, or should I go to iced tea? I think I'm going to grab some ice. Be back in a sec. Give you some. The 144, I don't think, Travis, it's an overall record, but it is the most points the Spurs have scored this season. I mean, it's up there. Back in the ABA, and early NBA under Doug Moe, Spurs scored a lot, had a lot of those high-scoring games. But I will Google, that's a good question. What is the highest score ever for the Spurs? I think it's like in the 150s or 160s. Most points. Most points scored by the San Antonio Spurs in an NBA game. In non-overtime in 1978, they beat the Clippers 163 to 125. In triple overtime, they scored 171. So non-overtime games in 78, they scored 163 to 125 over the San Diego Clippers. In 1991, 161 to 153 over the Denver Nuggets. In 84, 157 to 154 over the Denver Nuggets. So there you have it. I will put this link up. Let's see here. All right, Travis, I'm going to, here's the link. Shipping that out now. Whoops. No, Travis, there were many more if you go look at that link. I just read like the first 3 or 4. 153, 152, 151, 150, 149, 148, 147 in 2010 against the Warriors. They beat the Warriors 147 to 116 in 2010. 146, 2021. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks 146 to 125. May of this year, which was last season. It's all at that link. But that being said, wow, they already have 144. That link already has last night's game. That's pretty amazing. That being said, it was pretty darn amazing. So I am in no way diminishing what a big win that was. So we'll probably run the Greg Popovich audio here. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Cool. And I think it's 2:23. We'll run it in its entirety. I will mention you can't really hear the reporters' questions. There's 2 questions. One, I think somebody asked about Keldon Johnson, and then the second one they asked about Josh Primo. So I'll mention that. I did. We should talk about that. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a big topic. And obviously, I don't think she should do it. I think she's so close to being an NBA head coach.
If not here, which it should be here, but even if not here, she has a coaching gig in her future in NBA head coaching.
Yeah, let's all right, let's do those. We'll talk about both of those here. So we'll go Spurs, NBA, Becky, and then we might get to Trayvon Diggs before the segment ends. Travis, that was a great question, and it's a great topic. Where does that 144 rank? Mary Anthony, the Spurs good luck charm on Twitter, says, I agree with you. No more buffets for me either. Here we come. Here we go. That's another great point, Travis. To do that without DeJounte Murray is amazing.
Now, Chris Duel.
What a Christmas weekend it was. Christmas Eve on Friday night, Christmas Day on Saturday, and the day after Christmas, yesterday and last night. Christmas just kept coming for Cowboys fans, for Texans fans, and for Spurs fans. Welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show without Shannon Salty Sweeney, only because she is on vacation. Shannon will be back a week from today in the new year in 2022. That'll be Monday, January 3rd, a week from today. Of course, the new year arrives at midnight. You know, we say Saturday morning, but, you know, you're going to party on Friday night for New Year's Eve. Chris Duel Show joining us, of course, and he's doing what he always does, which is kicking butt in all he does. Certainly tremendous punctuation music as he styles your soundscape. Jeremy KOLOK. Jeremy, do you rock out on New Year's Eve? Do you have, and granted, now with the pandemic, it's not what it used to be either. We talked about the elimination of buffets forever. Thank you. Although some people telling me on the live video feed, they don't care about COVID. They're going to still eat at buffets. Are you a party animal on New Year's Eve?
Not really. In high school, like with my friends, we would, I guess, without obviously without drinking and stuff, because we were in high school, but we would party, we would, I guess, on New Year's. But this year I will be so on New Year's Day, I'll be in here because UTSA basketball players.
Oh my God.
We have to bring UTSA basketball to the people, obviously.
There you go.
And then I haven't figured out my plans yet officially, but after the UTSA basketball game, I'll head north because I'm going to the Cowboys Cardinals game.
Whoa!
On the 2nd. So like I'm not a big partier on New Year's Eve, but going to the Cowboys Cardinals game on the 2nd, that's a pretty big party for me.
My goodness.
Yeah. So that's kind of my big event, but I won't be doing anything when the ball drops because I'll be preparing for this UTSA basketball game, obviously. I mean, I got to have a clear mind for that.
Exactly. Yes.
You're on the Roadrunners from the control room over here, right?
Exactly. Cowboys, Cardinals, that's going to be tremendous on Sunday. That'll be a 3:25 game. That'll be on Fox. We will certainly look for you in the stands.
Always
for that. Cardinals now 10-5 with their loss and the Rams win. The Rams leapfrogged over the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. So very, very cool. Spurs, huge win last night over the Detroit Pistons, 144-109. Now, I said this on Spurs React last night. You can be cynical, and some people are, and I get it, and say, hey, man, A, that was the Detroit Pistons. They're not good at all this year. And B, the Detroit Pistons were severely undermanned. They've had a lot of players out for health and safety protocols, although the Spurs were without DeJounte Murray, their number one player this season in many categories. He was out, a late scratch. We didn't find out till mid-afternoon that he would be out for health and safety protocols. Spurs beat the Pistons 144-109, and you may poo-poo that win, but I would remind you the Spurs have won 3 in a row. They were coming off 2 wins in Los Angeles. They swept the 2 LA teams at what was Staples Center. They closed down Staples Center, sort of. It's the same building. Starting on Christmas Day, they now call it Crypto.com Arena, which is weird. But Spurs have won 3 in a row. They've won 4 out of 5. They've won 10 out of 15. And if you do the math, 10-5 is percentage 667. That means they've won 2 out of every 3 games for the last 15 games. And Meatloaf says 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So don't be sad. So, I mean, and here's my deal on the Detroit Pistons being shorthanded. Every team is going through that. And I believe when it's all said and done, just like bad officiating, like a bad call in a basketball game or in a football game, I think over time, over the whole scope of everything, that evens itself out. Another thing I'd like to point out, Jeremy, about this 15-game stretch, in this 15-game stretch, and the Spurs are 10 out of 15, one of those 10 wins is at the Golden State Warriors, best record in the NBA. One of them is at Utah, who they play tonight in San Antonio, but they won at Utah about a week ago. Utah's got like the 3rd best record in the NBA. They went at Phoenix and lost by about 4 and had a chance to beat Phoenix. So, you know, you may say this ain't no big thing to beat the Pistons, which they did last night. It was the 600th win for the Spurs at the AT&T Center, which opened in the 02-03 season. When it opened, they called it the SBC Center. That 600 wins in the same arena since 02-03. No other team, including the Lakers at Staples, no other team has won that many games in their home arena since 02-03. So obviously a big bulk of that was the Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and even the Kawhi Leonard era for the Spurs. But still very, very impressive that the Spurs get the win. Now tonight, Jeremy, and we'll hear from Coach Greg Popovich in a moment, huge test tonight. The Utah Jazz looking for payback. I mentioned the Spurs won at Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City about a week ago against Utah. Utah comes into San Antonio tonight. Interestingly, though, no DeJounte Murray for the Spurs because of health and safety protocols, but Utah will be without their ace. Donovan Mitchell is going to be out of the game tonight, reportedly, for he's got some lower back issues. Rudy Gobert, who is still a monster, will play tonight for the Utah Jazz. But Jeremy, you know, 10 out of 15. If they win tonight, even if they don't, but if they win tonight, my God, the Spurs are on a major roll here.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's like you said, you don't want to poo-poo on the win over the Pistons. Well, it's very important to win the games that you're supposed to win against teams that you're better than. And I was sad to see that my beloved Cade Cunningham was unable to play in this game. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma State's finest, but I certainly hope he gets better soon. But then, like you mentioned, it seemed very last minute when DeJounte Murray got scratched, kind of like he might have gotten a positive test as soon as yesterday, like game day. But obviously that's speculation.
Well, now, and while the Spurs don't reveal stuff like that, but no, they did put out an injury report like at noon, and I retweeted it. And to me, the big story was on that injury report was that Josh Primo was available, that they moved him from the Austin Spurs, and he was available for that game. So I tweeted out, hey, man, Josh Primo is available and Doug McDermott is probable. DeJounte Murray was nowhere on that injury report. So I tweeted that out, and then like 40 minutes later, an updated injury report with DeJounte Murray out for health and safety protocols. So to your point, I think you're right. I think we can connect the dots and say the Spurs found out about this, midday yesterday. And then, my guess is, and it's just a guess, is that, in all probability, DeJounte Murray either A, got a COVID test back, or B, found out somebody in very close proximity to him might have tested positive. So, therefore you isolate. So it's probably one of the two, although again, that is speculation.
Yeah, I didn't mean to throw speculation into.
Oh, I'm all about speculation. I live on speculation.
Yeah, we certainly hope DeJounte gets better as well, and everybody around him, just whatever situation that is. So yeah, like you said, it's the Pistons are shorthanded, and even if they weren't shorthanded, they're not very good. But when you're missing your best player, when you're missing DeJounte Murray, the guy who has kind of molded himself into the go-to guy, the guy we can kind of lean on in those difficult moments or in those close games to go get a bucket or really to do anything the way he plays. I mean, he's impacts the game in so many ways. But it was not I don't know how to word this other than saying a blessing in disguise, which is a terrible way to word this. But what an opportunity it was for guys like Keldon Johnson to really perform up to their potential. And obviously it's you want to have DeJounte out there, right? He's the best player, but I I mean, Keldon Johnson played phenomenal, and a lot
Yeah.
of Spurs did last night, but what, Keldon had, like, 27?
27 for Keldon Johnson.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was fun to watch, and, I'm thankful to the opportunity that we live in a world now where the Cowboys are blowing teams out by the 2nd and 3rd quarter to where I can watch the Spurs game when they're on at the same time, but last night's game was really fun to watch, and I didn't expect that because I have kind of fallen in love with watching DeJounte Murray handle the ball and watching his basketball IQ and the way he's able to use screens and use his off-ball players to his advantage and to the defense's disadvantage. So going into the game, I was like, "Well, we're kinda missing our dude here." But no, it was a heck of a performance, and like I said, you are supposed to beat that type of team, so you never apologize for doing so, in my opinion.
It's a great point. It's a great point. And Bill Schoening even brought this up on the broadcast last night. By the way, Bill will join us on Wednesday, as he always does, at 8:05, the voice of the San Antonio Spurs. You know, last week the Spurs played at Sacramento, and Sacramento had just fired their coach, Luke Walton. They had a lot of players out for health and safety protocols. It was a game the Spurs were supposed to win, and they let that one get away. So I think going into the game against Detroit last night, the Spurs had played a game just a few nights ago where they did not win a game they were supposed to win. So to see them do that, and as you said, with DeJounte Murray out, Keldon Johnson, 27 points, 10 of 12 from the field. He was 4 of 4 from three-point country. And another guy who stepped up, Aussie Jock Landale, had 18 points. He was 7 of 9 from the field. He also had 5 rebounds and 3 assists. Keep an eye on Jock Landale this season as well. All right. Now, obviously, Detroit had a lot of players out for health and safety protocols. Coach Greg Popovich talked about that post-game. We're going to listen to Coach Pop's post-game comments. But he also says, and it's true, when it's all said and done, they don't count who you beat or how you beat them or who was on their roster. They count victory. So he was very gracious in postgame to the Detroit Pistons and said that they fought hard. Pop always very gracious, but he was also very happy with his team's performance. Now you're going to hear 2 questions here from the media and the volume, you know, the reporters asking him questions. You can't hear them as well. So the first question will be about Keldon Johnson, who Jeremy brought up, who scored 27 points last night. So Pop will talk about him. The second question will be about Josh Primo. I think that'll be more clear that the second question is about Josh Primo. So when you hear a reporter's question first, they're asking about Keldon Johnson. Pop will react, and then Pop will react to Josh Primo. So it's about 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Post-game last night after the Spurs 144-109 win over the Detroit Pistons. Here's Spurs head coach Greg Popovich.
Well, I thought we did a good job. We had 39 assists again. After being off a bit, the guys' mental approach was good. They came out aggressively and kept it for most of the 48 minutes, so that was nice to see. A lot of guys got to participate, but obviously it wasn't a fair fight. You know, the Pistons are in tough shape right now with all the guys that they're missing. You know, Coach Casey's not there. But Coach Rex did a great job. You know, from beginning to end, those guys busted their butts. He was on them. They were trying to do the best they can. They got some guys out there hadn't just got there. And that makes it very difficult. So considering all that, I thought they competed really well for them. And as we often say, you know, everybody just cares about the win and the loss. They don't ask who was gone. So we're happy to get the win, but we understand. We'll have to play a lot better tomorrow. Absolutely. I thought that they kept us together, and nobody stepped out of it or, got out of their role. Once we got a lead, they didn't try to do things on their own. They stuck with the way we needed to play. So that was good. He's a intuitive player. He knows how to play the game. He understands what's going on. He's good with the ball, good passer, makes good decisions, doesn't try to do things he's not capable of doing. So he plays a wise game. Joshua is a natural. He's confident. He's got a great feel about the game. He's got a great pace to him. Good passer. He's shooting it well. So he's got a big future ahead. Oh yeah, he's been playing point. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a matter of I remember the days of Corey Joseph and George Hill, and that sort of thing. Where at the beginning they were a little bit unsteady, and now they're what they are, really solid players. So we hope the same thing for Joshua.
Spurs head coach Greg Popovich speaking after the Spurs 144-109 win last night, right there at the end, talking about Josh Primo, who I think it was the 26th of December turned 19. He started this season at age 18, which just absolutely blows my mind. On the bench, sitting next to Pop, as she always does, Jeremy, Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammon. And over the weekend, a couple of teams, I believe the New York Liberty, who she used to play for back in the WNBA, and the Las Vegas Aces, who actually she used to play for because they used to be the San Antonio Stars and the San Antonio Silver Stars before they moved to Las Vegas. A couple of WNBA teams rumored and reported to be courting Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammon as their new head coach. And yet, Jeremy, Becky sits on the bench next to Greg Popovich. I think she is arguably, although the Spurs won't say this, I think we could argue that she is the Spurs lead assistant right now. If you were advising Becky Hammon right now, Jeremy, and who knows, she could be listening to the show. She may call you for advice after the show and go, man, that Jeremy KOLOK guy, he really seems to know his sports. I think I'm going to call him for some advice. If Becky Hammon asked you, Jeremy, should I take one of these WNBA head coaching jobs that I am currently being offered, how would you advise her?
I would say absolutely not. And it's not because of the WNBA or anything against them. It's because she is on the path to becoming an NBA head coach, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people think that. Obviously, we can't predict the future. We can't predict these hires because they're out of our hands. But it just seems like with the interest she's gotten and the way she's just kind of been molded, not that it hasn't been all her, you know what I mean? She's been a tremendous success, but it seems like from the outside looking in that the Spurs have kind of been molding her into their hopeful replacement when the day comes for Pop. And I was just reading this report, and like you mentioned, there's two teams that the way it was worded, it says the New York Liberty and Las Vegas Aces are seriously pursuing San Antonio Spurs assistant and WNBA legend Becky Hammon. But so the New York Liberty just fired their coach or parted ways or whatever. And it explains the way this would go down is if she were to expect a job or to accept a job, it would be in January likely, because that is right at the beginning of the WNBA free agency. So obviously it's basically college football recruiting. Like she's got to get where she goes to start recruiting potential free agents or whatever, and just to start building her team. But like I mentioned, the Liberty, they have a vacancy, right?
Yeah.
Las Vegas Aces have a head coach right now. That's not a vacant position. And the even weirder thing is the Aces job is currently filled by former NBA player Bill Laimbeer.
Whoa.
So what is he in?
And he's been a very successful WNBA coach for many years.
Yeah, and I think he has, like, other duties too, because it explains that there's, like, a possibility that he would step aside and take another role in the organization.
Huh.
So if I'm Becky, I'm looking at this situation, this doesn't look very welcoming. Like, you have a coach. What do you who's
Yeah.
to say you're not gonna do that to me one day?
Right. Yeah. And Jeremy, we have yet to see a WNBA head coach. And although, Bill Laimbeer and some others, I'm sure some have made the leap to be NBA assistants, but I just think it would not be a good career move. I agree with you. And I don't think it would be a launching pad into the NBA. I think she is uniquely positioned as the first paid assistant coach in the NBA who is a woman. And Pop will be the first to tell you, I did not give her the gig because she's a woman. I gave her the gig because she knows basketball. She's a great coach. She's got a great basketball IQ. And I do agree with you. When someday Pop rides off into the sunset, probably the first person getting the biggest consideration would be Becky Hammon. And I also agree, and I've said this many times, Jeremy, this would be the best place for her to become a head coach as opposed to taking another NBA gig, because these players will have worked with her. If, for example, it happened at the end of this year, DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, Derek White, Bryn Forbes, all these guys will have played with her, Lonnie Walker. So it won't be like another NBA locker room with people going, whoa, we got a woman head coach. It would be like if it were the Spurs, and go, yeah, it's Coach Hammon. We've played with her for years. So an odd report. I would be shocked. Becky Hammon was offered, I do believe, the Colorado State job a couple of years ago. That was her alma mater. She played basketball there in college. Again, I think she's made all the right moves. I think she is in a perfect position to make the leap from where she is, either as the coach in waiting for the San Antonio Spurs or another NBA gig. And I think if she took a WNBA gig, she'd be kind of in the universe of other WNBA coaches. And I don't see that as a good launching pad into an NBA head coaching gig. And I sense, based on where she's been the last several years, that's where she wants to go. So stay, Becky, stay.
I was gonna say, would San Antonio, I think, would definitely prefer her to stay.
Yes.
Be the coach in waiting.
Yeah, and not whether she's coaching waiting or just a darn good assistant coach to Pop on this bench. As a Spurs fan, I want her to stay. So A, go Spurs go. B, and Pop we trust. And C, stay, Becky, stay. And Becky, if you're listening, call Jeremy during one of the breaks if you're looking for some advice. 800-707-9760. Jeremy KOLOK is available for career advice. Not only for Becky Hammon, if you're listening right now and you would like some career advice during the break, you're an accountant, you work at Valero, whatever. I mean, call Jeremy. He's here for you. All right, quick break. Coming up. How about some sports history, some sports birthdays? We haven't even talked about Trayvon Diggs and the history he made last night and the cusp of not only Dallas Cowboys history, but if he keeps getting a few more interceptions in the next two football games, he could make NFL history. Move over, Lester Hayes. We'll talk about that coming up. We're talking Cowboys, Texans, Spurs, NFL, college bowl games, NBA, and more. He's Jeremy KOLOK. Shannon Salty Sweeney on vacation till next Monday. I'm Chris, hanging out with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. There you go, James Rippey. Bill Laimbeer has won 3 or 4 championships in the WNBA. All right. Let me check Twitter. Steve Duraco from Birmingham, Alabama. Steve Duraco yesterday, the original Rock. Rock, I'll have to give you a shout out. And we got Christopher Smith joins us from Nairobi, Kenya this morning. We'll have to give you a shout out on the radio, Steve Duraco. Steve Duraco yesterday, around 6 in the morning, hopped in a car and drove from San Antonio, Texas to Birmingham, Alabama, where his daughter and grandkids are. Glad you. All right, Rock, here's my question. Steve has like this unbelievable streak of like 100 days of at least 5 miles a day. Did you get your 5 miles in? No way, man. You were driving like 14 hours, including your stops. Is Taro in here? John Williams says Taro Kotani's in here. Welcome in, Taro. I don't see Taro. John, I think you're making that up. John Williams just didn't have, well, of course. You would have been a madman. Plus, you had a Cowboys game to watch once you got to Birmingham. You can rekindle that streak. Plus, you're like 99 out of 100 days, something crazy. All right, Maine. I am going to grab some more ice for my iced tea. Ice, baby. Be back in a sec. I'll give you more Jeremy to look at. David Valles, I am wearing the hard hat because it's going to be hard to beat it's hard to win 3 in a row, and the Spurs have. It's going to be hard to beat the Utah Jazz tonight. But I'm busting out the hard hat. John, I have not busted out the prayer candle yet. I have not felt the need. The prayer candle is there. I may bust it out later in the season. Steve Duraco and Christopher Smith. Give you both shout outs here. Got my ice. I got my recycled Bush's chicken cup that has my Ice-T. As Steve Duraco says, did somebody say ice? There was a Jordan Ford commercial in San Antonio many years ago where Mark Cross, the owner of Jordan Ford, they're having a meeting trying to figure out who's going to be their spokesperson. And it's Jordan Ford. And Steve Duraco can remember this better than I can, but it was a great commercial. So they're going, yeah, it was the Michael Jordan era. And they go, man, Jordan Ford, it's perfect. He's got the same name, but somebody goes, yeah, but, he's kind of expensive. I don't think we can afford him. And somebody wants some more ice for their, iced tea or whatever. So can we get some more ice? And then George Gervin is at the board table, and Gervin turns to the camera and says, did somebody say ice? Very nice. So let's see. Christopher Smith from Nairobi, Kenya this morning. There he is. And Steve Duraco from Birmingham, Alabama. John Williams said Taro is here from Tokyo, but I think he's lying. I don't see Taro in here this morning yet. Taro joins us a lot, though. All right, I got sports history. I got sports birthdays. Here we come.
We're back. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 1-800-707-9760.
Love me some Prince. Trying to run from the destruction, I didn't even care. They say 2000 party over. Oops, out of time. Such a classic. Now, see, Jeremy KOLOK, you don't even know how brilliant you are. This song, 1999, was the title cut of Prince's album, 1999. Do you know what year the album 1999 dropped, Jeremy? Do you know?
I have a guess.
Yeah, take a guess.
Probably late 90s, probably 99. Oh,
The album dropped in 1981. This is why you're so brilliant. And you didn't even know. You were like channeling brilliance. The Prince album 1999. I bought the vinyl album in 1981. Loved it. It has Little Red Corvette on it. Another song, International Lover, is on that album. Dance, Music, Sex, Romance is on that album. The whole album. I know we don't listen to albums anymore because we just stream hits on streaming services. If you ever get a chance to just sit down from beginning to end and listen to Prince's album 1999, it is absolute brilliance. He was already happening, but it exploded him onto the scene. He followed it up with the movie and album Purple Rain, and then forget about it. Prince was an international superstar. All right, this album drops in 1981. Jeremy, I was going to talk about 1981 because Trayvon Diggs last night got his 11th interception, and he tied Everson Walls, who was a rookie in 1981 when Prince's 1999 album dropped, And Everson Walls had, and still does for now, the Cowboys record for most interceptions in a season with 11 interceptions. But now he shares that Cowboys record as of last night with one Trayvon Diggs. So you play one of the greatest hits ever from 1981, 1999 by Prince. It's perfect.
It just felt right. That's
Wow.
that's what goes into the music choice normally.
You were just
Whatever feels
channeling
right.
greatness.
Yeah.
You were
yes.
channeling greatness.
That's what Prince does.
Woo! Yeah. Before we do sports history and sports birthdays, a couple of shout outs. We are joined this morning by one Steve Duraco, the original Rock, the original Italian Stallion from Birmingham, Alabama. Steve Duraco joining us on the live. He's a San Antonian. He's joining us from Birmingham, Alabama this morning. So, and apparently he drove yesterday nonstop. His daughter, Krista, is in Birmingham. So he drove from San Antonio to Birmingham yesterday. That's a long drive. Yeah. But also, if you think Birmingham is impressive, Christopher Smith joins us this morning, as he has lately, from Nairobi, Kenya. Kenya in the house, everybody.
You can't beat him. Every
My
time he makes that
God.
comment, everybody's checking in.
Yeah.
You can't. What is everybody supposed to do? You can't beat that.
I can't even.
He's the king of the comment checking in.
Yes. You're the. We should give away prizes for longest distance check-in. But see, we often get Taro Kotani from Tokyo, Japan. I got to get a globe out or Google which is further away from Texas, Nairobi, Kenya, or Tokyo, Japan. The Pacific Ocean is so darn immense. I got a feeling Tokyo is a little further than Nairobi, Kenya, but I could be wrong. I was never a geography stud, so who the heck knows? But I do know the Pacific Ocean's kind of big, and Japan's on the other side of the Pacific, and you can get to Africa by going across the Atlantic. So I do know that. Ooh, yes. That is a brilliant idea. We need a world map in the studio with all the check-ins. That's a great idea. Dude, you're channeling Prince. You're coming up with ideas with maps. Christopher Smith says, my girlfriend Christine can't believe you talk about me live on the radio. It's because you're in Nairobi, Kenya, Christopher. So, wow. So I'm assuming Christine is back in Texas, right? Or is she with you in Nairobi? Because you've been in Kenya for a while. So shout out to Christine, girlfriend of Christopher. Cool. All right. There you have it. Quick break as we take a look at sports birthdays. And how about this day in sports history? December 27th, 1953. The NFL championship was held at Briggs Stadium in Detroit, Michigan. The Detroit Lions beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16. And with that win, the Detroit Lions retained the NFL championship. I mean, two of the most beleaguered teams in the modern era, at least in my lifetime, the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns have mostly sucked. But in 1953, baby, your NFL championship, Lions versus Browns. See, if that were today, that would be Jared Goff versus Baker Mayfield. I don't think we have to worry about a Lions-Browns Super Bowl anywhere in our future soon. On this day in 1959, it was also the NFL championship game, only this time it was at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. The Baltimore Colts beat the New York Giants 31-16. Get this, the Colts scored 24 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. So Giants were up 16-7 early fourth quarter, and they thought, hey, man, we're going to win the championship. No, you're not. Johnny Unitas and those Baltimore Colts scored 24 unanswered in the fourth. By the way, in a moment, Travis gave us the distance from Nairobi and Tokyo to Texas. We'll check that out in a minute. Also, finally, this day in sports history, 1964, the NFL championship game was at Cleveland Stadium. And this time, the Cleveland Browns got a championship. They beat the Baltimore Colts 27-0. They eviscerated the Baltimore Colts 27-0. But check this out, Jeremy. That was the last championship win by a major pro sports team in Cleveland until LeBron James and the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. So let me do some Holmes High School math. That was 1964. So 2016. So 70 would be 30 years, and 36 and 16 is 52 years.
Wow.
The city of Cleveland went 50, and they've got the Indians, they've got the Cleveland Browns, they've got the Cleveland Cavaliers. They probably have a hockey team, and they would not win a championship for 52 years. If you were born when Cleveland won its championship in 64, you didn't see one till you were 52 years old. See, that's what scares me. I tell Spurs fans when they were winning all those championships, said, enjoy it, man. You never know. But I think they're going to be back. Maybe even this year, man. Spurs have won 3 in a row, 4 out of 5, 10 out of 15. In Pop we trust. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Thank you, John. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, George. Thank you, Ringo. Thank you, Yoko. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Barbara Bach. Thank you, Patty Boyd. Even though, Patty, you left George Harrison for Eric Clapton, but I still forgive you because George forgave you. And oh, by the way, we'll get into it maybe later. On 2/2/2022, I am going to forgive number 2. On 2/2/2022.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to. The anger and the hatred is not good for my soul. I'm going to let it all go.
So it's more for you, less for.
See, there you go.
I like it.
You're very perceptive. It's more for me than for. But in a cosmic sense, I don't think Kawhi wants people hating on him. But until then, I hate it. I sports hate his guts.
Right.
I'm clinging to this sports hatred. Jeremy. All right. Born on this day in 1936, Lee Grosscup, American. He was a quarterback for the Jets and the New York Titans, who were also the Jets before they were the Jets. He became a college football analyst on ABC. Lee Grosscup was born in Santa Monica, California on this day in 1936. He passed away in 2020. Born on this day in 1958, American golfer Steve Jones. He won the U.S. Open in 1996. He won 8 PGA Tour championships. Steve Jones was born in Artesia, New Mexico. Born on this day in 1959, NFL linebacker Andre Tippett. No relation to Officer Tippett, who was shot and killed by Lee Harvey Oswald in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963. Andre Tippett played for the New England Patriots. 2 big-time college basketball coaches were born on this day in 1962. Something in the zodiac on this day in 1962. Mark Few of Gonzaga and Bill Self of Kansas. Both of them born on the same day, the same year, December 27th, 1962. And finally, born on this day in 1979, quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner in 2002, played for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Oakland Raiders, Carson Palmer out of USC. Woo, 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 woo. Fight on, Carson Palmer, born on this day in 1979 in Fresno, California. Carson Palmer lately making a lot of appearances on the Dan Patrick Show. So there's that.
Yeah, I think he's like a recurring guest now.
Yeah, it's like every week I hear
him.
him.
They just loved him so much, I guess.
Yeah.
And with me.
And apparently his brother, I'm forgetting his name. You may know it, Jeremy. I'm sure one of our listeners knows it. He's got a brother who has a quarterback school that a lot of these college quarterbacks go to improve their skill sets And apparently it's one of the better quarterback schools.
Jordan Palmer.
There you go. See, you know this stuff. Jordan Palmer. So if you're a quarterback out there, you want to go to Jordan Palmer to improve your skills. And if you're an NBA assistant coach, you want to call Jeremy KOLOK for career advice. And his phone line is open at 800-707-9760. Okay, a couple of developments. First of all, Taro Kotani is joining us right now on Facebook Live, the greatest international Spurs fan, joining us from Tokyo, Japan this morning. Taro has traveled to San Antonio 16 times to see the Spurs. Oh, and breaking news, Jeremy, Taro will join us on this show Thursday. Are you going to be here Thursday?
Yes, sir.
Are you here all week?
Yes.
So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because we're not here Friday because the boss gave us New Year's Eve off. So cool. So you will talk with Taro Kotani. Now, somebody did the math. I assumed, just based on my knowledge of the globe, that Tokyo, Japan is further away from San Antonio than Nairobi, Kenya, because Christopher Smith is joining us this morning from Nairobi, Kenya on the live video feed. By the way, if you're new to the show, you can find that on Facebook Live, Ticket 760 or AM 1300 The Zone, or on Twitter or on YouTube, Ticket 760. So I assumed, based on my perception of the globe, because the Pacific Ocean is immense and Japan is on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, and you can get to Africa by going across the Atlantic from Texas, I thought, okay, Tokyo must be further away than Nairobi, Kenya, which would make Taro Kotani the furthest away video viewer. To that, I have been told I am incorrect. According to Christopher Smith and Travis says Nairobi, Kenya is 8,925 miles away from Texas, and Tokyo is 6,573 miles away. I had no idea, Jeremy. In my mind, Tokyo was much further. It's almost a more than a 2,000 mile differential. Nairobi, Kenya is over 2,000 miles further. You would need 2,000 more air miles to fly to Nairobi, Kenya than you would to Tokyo, Japan.
I wonder if the width of the Earth at that point plays a major factor, because obviously as you're going closer to the equator, it would take further.
That's a great point.
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, that's a great, because if you just went due east or due west from San Antonio around the Earth, you would, to travel around, it would not be nearly as long as if you traveled around the equator. Huge. But who knew this would turn into geometry and planetary science here and astronomy almost this morning? But so Taro, even though you're going to be on the show Thursday, I'm sorry. You now take a back seat to our new defending champion, Christopher Smith, listening and viewing from Nairobi, Kenya this morning, is our new and reigning champion, furthest away from Austin and San Antonio, so which is very cool. And even if you're joining us from Austin or San Antonio or Cibolo, home of Terrence Steele, we appreciate it. We love your being here. Man, you were just rocking the hits this morning. Very nice. From Smokey and the Bandit, eastbound and down, rolling up and trucking all the way to Birmingham, Alabama, Nairobi, Kenya, and Tokyo, Japan. We are international, baby. Shannon Salty Sweeney on vacation. Maybe she is in Tokyo. I don't even know. Jeremy KOLOK is just spinning the tunes. We're with you till 9. Lots more coming up. NFL, Cowboys, NBA, Spurs, Bowl talk, and more. You're listening to The Chris Duel Show. So, Travis, we're gonna take points away from Christopher because he's not a Kenya native. Now, if Barack Obama's brother called in, Christopher says you have to fly to Europe to get to Nairobi. Yeah, so Taro, let me know what time you want to call in on Thursday. In fact, look at this. I already have. Where'd it go? Somewhere here. I have lost. Here's the guest list for the week. Tomorrow on the show, Taylor Estes, Derek Fox, Bill Schoening. Thursday, look at that big Thursday. Taro Kotani. Is it in the 6 o'clock hour, Taro? James Allen and Mark Vandermeer. And Andy Everett, we think, is going to go to Wednesday now because he usually does Thursday. But Mark Vandermeer, who usually does Friday, and we're not going to be here Friday, we got to move him to Thursday. So Taro, it's going to be Mark Vandermeer at 8:35 Texas time, James Allen at 8:05. So whenever you want, man. 6 o'clock hour. Okay. Yeah, because I think last time that worked better for your timetable. So, Taro, we could either do that at like 6:15 or 6:35. Any of those. Taro Kotani, the greatest international Spurs fan, but not the furthest away viewer on the live video feed, will join us. Christopher, we might have to get you on the show now from Nairobi, Kenya, since it's the furthest away. Yeah, Dean, it is still, I tell people, I've said this a lot. You probably heard me say this. When I first got into radio, a couple of things. You know, when we'd get somebody from outside of San Antonio, we'd be thrilled. Wow, somebody in New Braunfels is tuning in. And then I once did hurricane coverage overnight on WOAI, and it's like 50,000 watts. And at night, WOAI goes everywhere. And Steve Duraco, who joined us this morning from Birmingham, he has a sister named Andrea, and it was the middle of the night, and they were driving in Iowa, and they were just spinning on the radio dial, and she heard me on the radio saying, "I'm Chris Duel in San Antonio." She grew up in my neighborhood, and you know she's the big sister of Steve Duraco. So, all right, Joe Garcia checking in from Pueblo, Colorado. So, I mean, it was just so amazing that somebody in Iowa was listening to the broadcast, you know, and here we've got Tokyo, we've got Nairobi, Kenya, we've got Joe Garcia from Pueblo, Colorado. Joe will give you a shout out, man. It's very cool. It amazes me, the link here that we have that, you know, just a number of years ago did not exist. I got to send a text out. Let's see. Yeah, it's just very cool, Christopher. And what we can do that I really haven't done yet, and it would be a little difficult on the air, but during breaks like this, I can send the link to this video. Any of you, I could add you onto this video if you wanted to jump in here. So maybe we'll do that this week. And Taro, and what's weird though is like if you were going to be a guest on the show, you need to like be on the phone line for the radio people to hear you. If you were just on the video feed and I brought you in, like there's Jeremy there. He's away from the mic. But if I brought you in, the radio people wouldn't hear you. So that's what's we got to figure out that technology because the feed is a little different. Yeah, Christopher, we could do that. If you or anybody else wants to do that, we can bring you on board. And thank you, Joe. I appreciate you and anybody else who tunes in and people who are tuning in new right now. That's much appreciated. And Joe does a great job with the Two Shots podcast. Joe's a tremendous broadcaster. I've had Joe on Spurs React many, many times. I've had Joe on the show. I've had Joe on the show with Taro. I've had barbecue with Joe and Taro. So, has Taro had an In-N-Out burger? We might have to work that out. Let's see. Ticket 760, AM 1300, The Zone University. Mike Taylor, President. Chris Duel, Dean. Vice President Shannon. Director of Talent, Sam Freese. Jeremy, Professor of Media. Dave Ayler, Professor of Liberal Arts. Michael Bartlett, That is one freaky university, man. I don't know if you want a degree from that university. Oh, you're not the same Joe Garcia. Sorry, Joe. I can't. Your profile pic is small on my view, so I can't. I thought you were that Joe Garcia. So anyway, other Joe Garcia, thank you for listening all these years. I appreciate that. I thought you were the Joe Garcia of the Two Shots podcast. My bad. But Joe, I'm going to give you a shout out once we get back here that will go out over the radio airwaves on Ticket 760 out of San Antonio and AM 1300 The Zone out of Austin. Because we love that you're here from Pueblo, Colorado. Not near Pueblo, but I spent 2 years in Colorado. I was at the Air Force Academy from 1979 to 1981. So I got a little Colorado experience a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Oh, Average Joe. Now I remember you. Average Joe Garcia.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You're gonna take this poison night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side.
Oh my goodness. What a beautiful morning in America as everything is right in the sports world. The Dallas Cowboys win big over the evil and despicable Washington football team. Cowboys clinch the NFC East. The Houston Texans win big. Nobody saw that coming. Justin Herbert and a very good Los Angeles Chargers team comes into NRG Stadium yesterday, and the Houston Texans win convincingly over the LA Chargers by a score of 41-29. And the San Antonio Spurs are on a roll. They beat the Detroit Pistons 144-109. We've talked about that extensively as well this morning. Granted, it's the Detroit Pistons. Granted, Detroit not that good. Detroit is 5-27 now with that loss. Detroit was undermanned. We heard from Coach Greg Popovich. We played his audio in the 7 o'clock hour. He acknowledged that. He gave them a lot of credit for fighting through a lot of the issues they were fighting through. But the Spurs have won 3 in a row. Before this, they won 2 on the home floor of both the Clippers and the Lakers. They closed out Staples Center as they did the Great Western Forum, which was previously the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood, as the Spurs beat the Lakers in 1999 en route to their first ever NBA championship. They closed down the Forum, which is where the Lakers, Kobe and Shaq used to play before Staples Center. The win last night for the Spurs was their 600th win at the AT&T Center, which they started playing at in the 02-03 season. Back then it was called the SBC Center. That 600 wins is the most home wins by any NBA team in their arena since 02-03, which is pretty remarkable. So the Spurs have won 3 in a row. They've won 4 out of 5, and they've won 10 out of their last 15. And among those 10s, wins on the floor of the team with the best record in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors, a win at Utah, which Utah is going to try to avenge tonight. Utah Jazz in town, Spurs on a back-to-back. Utah has been resting while the Spurs were playing last night, but because of the lopsided nature of the Spurs win, the Spurs got to rest their starters, although DeJounte Murray out of the lineup for health and safety protocols. But for the Jazz tonight, Donovan Mitchell not expected to be in the lineup. He's got lower back issues, but Utah will still have Rudy Gobert, who is an absolute beast. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney in this 8 o'clock hour. Shannon is on vacation, but we do have Jeremy KOLOK, who is channeling Prince and channeling the years 1999 and 1981. And the hits just keep on coming, Jeremy. We mentioned on our live video feed, which is, you can get there on Facebook, AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook page, Ticket 760's Facebook page, on the Twitter pages, as well as YouTube. We already mentioned on the live video feed this morning, Jeremy, we've got Christopher Smith in Nairobi, Kenya. And luckily people did Google Earth and Google Maps and found out Nairobi, Kenya is about 2,000 miles further away than Tokyo, Japan, where the greatest international Spurs fan, Taro Kotani, who's been to San Antonio 16 times to see the Spurs from Tokyo, and he'll be on the show Thursday to join us. He's joining us this morning. We've got Steve Duraco from Birmingham, Alabama this morning. And we found out during the break, Joe Garcia is joining us from Pueblo, Colorado this morning. How cool is that, man? We are in Colorado. We're in Alabama. We're in Nairobi, Kenya. We're in Tokyo, Japan this morning. And I was telling people during the break, Jeremy, when I first got into radio a long time ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I mean, out of San Antonio, if we got like a call from New Braunfels, it was like, whoa, somebody is listening to New Braunfels, man. How cool is that? You know, now
I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's some, I always think about when I was like a kid, I don't know if there's like a specific announcer or commentator that did it, but I feel like I can picture, envision, but hear the voice in my head of like Brent Musburger or like, I don't know, Brad Nessler or somebody saying like, greetings to our viewers from around the world. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Mhm.
that I always thought that was so cool as a kid. Like, I don't know, you're watching the Rose Bowl or the
Yes.
Masters or something, and you're like, that's awesome that, it feels so cool to be part of an event or something where people are joining from all over. That's just always how I felt, where people are joining from a place where you aren't at
Yeah.
that moment, for someone from somewhere else. I think that's such a cool concept. So
Yes.
now, obviously, in the age which you're getting at, in the age we're in now, I think it's so cool that, I mean, we have people joining us from around the world. We're not confined to just our little San Antonio and Austin, South and Central Texas zone here, our bubble.
It is absolutely amazing. And wherever you're joining us from this morning, if you're in San Antonio, Austin, anywhere in between or around across the great state of Texas, or if you're outside the great state of Texas, we sure do appreciate it. I do want to mention this. We talked about the Dallas Cowboys and their great win over the Washington football team yesterday, last night game, Sunday Night Football, 56-14. So Trayvon Diggs now 11 interceptions, tying Everson Walls, who was a rookie in 1981 when he had 11 interceptions. Oh, by the way, it was a 16-game season in 1981. Somebody was asking me yesterday, hey man, wasn't it a 14-game season when Everson Walls got his? No, it was a 16-game season. Cowboys went 12-4
That record straight.
in 1981. 1981 was a tough season for me, Jeremy, because Cowboys lost in the regular season to the San Francisco 49ers and Joe Montana. San Francisco in 1980 was 6-10. So I thought, okay. So we lost a game in San Francisco. It's a little, it's an aberration. As we all now know, the Cowboys would meet the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And I'm going to go all Rain Man here for a moment because it's emblazoned upon my memory. It was January 10th, 1982, coming out of the 81 season when Everson Walls was a rookie. And indeed, it was Everson Walls guarding Dwight Clark in the end zone when Joe Montana ran what Bill Walsh called, it was a play called sprint right option, and it was a long drive. The 49ers drove like 80 yards down the field for the game-winning touchdown to beat the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. But a lot of people forget, Jeremy, the Cowboys got the ball back with about 47 seconds left, and Danny White was the quarterback of the Cowboys. Roger Staubach had just retired after the 1980 season. Cowboys got the ball, and Danny White hits Drew Pearson on a post pattern at midfield in full stride. Drew catches the ball, and the 49er defender, I'm forgetting his name, I can look it up, but the 49er defender reaches out, with his fingertips, grabs Drew Pearson's number 88 jersey and pulls it and takes Drew down. Like another inch, or if Drew had a tearaway jersey, but another inch. And Drew Pearson, who caught the Hail Mary pass from Roger Staubach on December 28th, 1975 at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, Danny White would have had the second Hail Mary pass to Drew Pearson to beat the 49ers. As we all now know, the 49ers went to Super Bowl 16. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-21. I dare say that Cowboys team would have destroyed that Bengals team led by Ken Anderson at quarterback. And Danny White, who now is just kind of an afterthought for Cowboys fans because he did not do what Roger did and what Troy Aikman did, and that's deliver a Super Bowl championship. History would have been completely different. Cowboys would have won that game against the 49ers. Drew Pearson would have been in the Hall of Fame a whole lot earlier. Danny White would probably be in the Hall of Fame. If you look at his numbers and he got a Super Bowl, I mean, he already had a ring from Super Bowl 12. He was the punter for the Cowboys when Roger was the quarterback, and the Cowboys beat the Broncos 27-10 in Super Bowl 12. But So that 1981 season, Jeremy, I remember it well. Everson Walls, 11 interceptions in 16 games. The Dallas Cowboys have now played 15 games, and Trayvon Diggs, like Everson Walls, now 11 interceptions. They are tied for the most in Dallas Cowboys history.
Death, taxes, and Trayvon Diggs interceptions, right? I mean,
Yes.
I mean, it's expected at this point, and that's unfortunate because it's so hard to get turnovers in the NFL, let alone interceptions. I mean, the guy's got to throw to you, right?
Yes.
And why they keep throwing at him, I don't know. I know Al Michaels apparently said something on the broadcast that I missed about how it's hit or miss with Trayvon because he's one of the most like received on or scored, because I didn't hear what he said, but apparently he either intercepts it or he gives up a big gain, apparently, according to Al Michaels. Look, I'm not saying that. Al Michaels said that, apparently.
Yeah, and I saw Al get a lot of blowback on social media last night.
Can clarify exactly what he said, but this guy is electrifying. I don't know how you don't compare him with Dion at this point, or say
or
that
Darrell Revis, like a shutdown corner, Revis Island. Yes, you do compare him. And what's amazing, think about this: you compare Trayvon Diggs to Deion Sanders, one of the greatest ever, a shutdown corner, and Micah Parsons. I saw the comparisons last night. They had like first 15 games and how many tackles. And I mean, Micah Parsons is respectfully well compared to the first games as a rookie of Lawrence Taylor. I mean, they are very, very comparable, where some people earlier in the season were poo-pooing that. Oh, not so fast. Don't compare Micah Parsons to Lawrence Taylor. Well, the numbers bear it out for their first, 15 games of the season. So, by the way, Marcus Valdespino, thank you for the assist, says Dwight Hicks in 1981 NFC Championship game, January 10th, 1982, 81 season, game played in 82, January. It was Dwight Hicks in the secondary for the 49ers who reached out and just by an inch was able to grab Drew Pearson's jersey on that post pattern. It stretched out and down went Drew. One more inch, man. And Danny White, it's not Joe Montana to Dwight Clark. It's Danny White to Drew Pearson for the game winner. Everything would have changed for Danny White for the Cowboys. Man, oh man, oh man. So
it's never good when you remember a date for the wrong reason.
I know.
Right?
Well, and what sucks is I was going to USC at the time, and one of my best friends at USC was from San Francisco. He was a 49ers fan. To this day, we're still friends. We still text on game days. He's a 49ers fan. I still hear about Dwight's flight, the catch. It's like, dude will not. What? That was 1981. That was what? 40 years ago? 30 years ago? He won't shut up. I'm still paying for that catch as a Cowboys fan. So anyway, there's that. Okay, now I do want to mention this, though. All right, we all celebrate, and we should. Trayvon Diggs at number 11. He's not only tied with Everson Walls for most interceptions in Dallas Cowboys history, he's tied with two other NFL players. Bill Bradley, also known as Super Bill Bradley, from San Antonio, went to Texas. He was a Texas Longhorn. I've met Bill Bradley. I've had him on the show. He was actually an assistant coach with the San Antonio Commanders of the Alliance of American Football just about 2 or 3 years ago. Mel Blount of the Pittsburgh Steelers also had 11. So in NFL history, 4 dudes have 11 interceptions. Bill Bradley, 1971. Mel Blount, 1975. Everson Walls, 1981. Trayvon Diggs, 2021. Only 3 players in NFL history have more than 11 interceptions in a season. Above these 4 guys, Mike Reinfeld with 12 in 1979, Emmett Thomas of the Kansas City Chiefs with 12 in 1974, And atop the pyramid, former Texas Aggie with the Oakland Raiders in 1980, Lester Hayes. Lester Hayes has 13 interceptions. That's the NFL record for most interceptions since the 1970 NFL-AFL merger. Jeremy, 2 games to play. If Trayvon Diggs can get 2 more interceptions, 1 per game, he would tie Lester Hayes. If somehow he gets 3 more interceptions, Trayvon Diggs would have the modern day NFL record of all teams in the NFL for most interceptions in a season at 14. He needs 3 more to get to 14. He needs 2 more to get to 13. I do not rule it out. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility.
No, I don't either. I just, like I said, I don't know why they keep throwing at him, but they do. The other teams, they keep throwing at him. And it might be just the way the Cowboys defense kind of attacks the way that Dan Quinn kind of dials up pressure a lot, and he mixes up coverages a lot, and he mixes up personnel a lot in the secondary, like where guys are, positioned and whatnot. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they keep throwing at him, because he at this point, it's more than, an anomaly. It's more than just a coincidence when he's this much of a playmaker. And when you look at like his highlights from like when he was a freshman at Alabama, even, and he played some with the ball, and he played some offense. He had the ball in his hands some. I mean, this dude is just a really, really good football player, and he has a knack for making plays, and specifically has a knack for finding the ball. So why they keep throwing to him, I don't know, but I don't know. I don't have a problem with it if opposing teams do continue throwing to his way, because it's like you said, I think it's going to continue being interceptions.
I would love to see more, man.
He's just so good at finding the ball. He plays like a receiver when the ball's in the air.
Which, and as you know, and as I think most of our listeners know, his brother, Stephon Diggs, a wide receiver with the Buffalo Bills, they got a big win yesterday at Foxborough to now control the AFC East. But yeah, so you mentioned Trayvon Diggs playing like a wide receiver, probably growing up playing football with his brother. He probably developed the same wide receiver skills, or very similar wide receiver skills as his brother, Stephon Diggs. And we still have a possibility of a Cowboys Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. Imagine that. Trayvon guarding Stephon Diggs in the Super Bowl. That would be mind-blowing. Speaking of Super Bowls, I mentioned this earlier in the show, and I want to read the actual quote. John Machado, who covers the Dallas Cowboys for The Athletic, tweeted this out just before the Cowboys game. Captain America, Roger Staubach, spoke before the game to 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys flagship radio station. And here's the quote from Roger Staubach before the game last night. Here's what Roger said, and I quote, "I get kind of scared of trying to predict anything, but I think this is a really good football team. It's just fun watching this team. Dak is one heck of a football player. He's going to take them into the playoffs, and good things are going to happen." So Roger, first he says, I get a little scared making predictions, but then he says, Dak is going to take the Cowboys into the playoffs, and good things are going to happen. So to me, Jeremy, right there, Roger Thomas Staubach predicting a deep playoff run for the Dallas Cowboys, and he should know he's had a few of those himself.
Yeah, I love how he puts the emphasis on Dak too, because that's the X factor for me, which obviously Trayvon Diggs' play has been unprecedented, honestly, and same with Micah Parsons, especially with where they were picked. You know what I mean? They've been home run draft picks for the Cowboys on their defense, which was kind of needed. But for me, all goes back to Dak. That is the guy that, I mean, do I even need to remind you of last year after he got hurt, what we looked like?
Oh, God.
No offense to Andy Dalton and company and Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci and whoever else they put out there. But it's Dak that makes this team what it is, right? I mean, this team is not what it is without Dak. They all bought into Dak. They all still buy into Dak because he's the leader. And obviously the offense isn't the offense without Dak, but it's more than that. It's Dak is what pushes this team. Dak is what gives Ezekiel Elliott his lifeline. You know what I mean? Zeke feels comfortable out there when he's with Dak, and it feels like he has that energy that he doesn't have when he's out there with Andy Dalton or whoever. It's just Dak is the most important factor for me. And I love that Captain America made sure to emphasize that, yeah, this team could go far in the playoffs because it has Dak Prescott as the quarterback.
And man, if there's anybody who knows, it's Roger Staubach, who, like Troy Aikman, the two quarterbacks who delivered the goods for the Dallas Cowboys, multiple Super Bowls, 2 from Roger, 3 from Troy. And, Danny White found out the hard way, and Tony Romo found out the hard way. Your job, your mission, if you're the quarterback of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, your sacred covenant with Cowboys fans, you must deliver Super Bowls. I mean, first get us 1, but then we want multiple, plural. Roger gave us 2 wins. Roger went to a bunch of them. And Troy gave us 3. Dak, you're on the clock. Coming up, we will talk more NFL. We'll take a look at the college football bowl games. Speaking of which, tomorrow, Derek Fox, the president and CEO of the Valero Alamo Bowl, that's going to be Wednesday night, Oklahoma Sooners versus Oregon Ducks. We will check in on the eve of the Alamo Bowl tomorrow with Derek Fox. Taylor Estes going to join us from Horns 24/7 on the show tomorrow as well. Billie Jean is not my lover. What a classic. Michael Jackson. Jeremy KOLOK all over the place with the great hits this morning. Let's talk some more NFL, college football, and NBA coming up. He's Jeremy KOLOK. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Marcus Valdespino, if you had Dwight Hicks without Googling, man, I am very impressed. So I could see it in my mind's eye, but I forgot his name. All right, final segment coming up. Carlene and Ruben Cano, welcome in. Anthony Del Toro. John Williams, no TV commercials are scheduled at the moment. When the pandemic happened, I used to do Ancira Volkswagen commercials. That kind of went away, and I don't know that. And they sometimes do reruns, but I haven't done one of those in a long time, and no current plans on the books for those. Anthony Del Toro says Packers will be the showstopper, and Chris's prediction will come to light. Brett Favre called out Aaron Rodgers and told him to bring home a Super Bowl in front of everyone at Lambeau Field. Yeah, I picked Packers over Kansas City in a rematch of Super Bowl I. I picked it before the regular season began. I need to go find that tweet because it is time stamped, obviously, and date stamped with all of my predictions. If it happens, Anthony. I nailed the pick a year ago. I picked Tampa Bay over Kansas City a year ago and got it right. And at the time, when Brady just went to the Bucs, I mean, you look at that pick now and you go, yeah, of course. Before the season began, new team, pandemic, not as many reps for training camp. It was kind of I won't say a bold prediction, but it was not the majority prediction. Most people had Kansas City over New Orleans or something like that because, Drew Brees in New Orleans looked red hot going into the season a year ago. Yeah, I totally, Joe. If I would have seen your profile pic bigger, I mean, you see how it is on the screen, and I'm looking at a smaller screen right now because I'm on the StreamYard site. So your profile pic's like really tiny. I would have recognized you as average Joe Garcia if it were bigger. So my bad for not seeing you earlier. Roger Salazar, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. I try to say hi. Jesse Bratton, Warren Wheeler, welcome. I try to say hi to everybody in here. Christopher Smith. Dean, Mr. Slate. Dean Stone. Travis. Now, here's somebody on YouTube, and I can't even begin to tell you who that is. I don't know how you would pronounce that name. And I don't think that's a name. I think that means something else. But that's one of our viewers on YouTube right now. All right, John Williams, you sent me a Steely Dan FM extended version. Thank you. I see Beth Daring gave us a like on the video. Thank you, Beth Daring. There you are. There's Beth Daring. Hello, Beth Daring. I talked about you, Beth, earlier on the show. I was talking about mimosas. Beth Daring with the 2 champagne glasses and the Christmas tree. If you're just tuning in, howdy, Beth. If you're just tuning in, Haas Holding, professional wrestler, was kind enough to send me an official Haas Holding t-shirt. I'll wear this later in the week. And Bryn Forbes is wearing a Haas Holding hat, which is cool. I'll wear this later in the week as well. And Beth Daring, you'll appreciate this. He sent a Haas Holding koozie. Says Haas Holding, romping and stomping. Yes. And of course, Bryn Forbes wearing the Haas Holding, romping and stomping t-shirt. Autographed photo of Haas Holding. In fact, I'll let you guys see that. Professional wrestler, friend of the show, friend of mine, and I just love what he's doing. I love that he always wanted to be a professional wrestler, and he did not give up on his dream. And in his late 50s, he was out of shape. He was overweight. I can relate to being overweight right now. And got a trainer, got in shape, and won a huge championship belt recently. So, yeah, I am going to go to Hobby Lobby and get a frame, and we will display our Haas holding photo proudly. Cowboys. Joe Burrow went crazy. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Here we come. Final segment. Woo!
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweet.
Yes!
Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at
Welcome back. Final segment. Jeremy KOLOK spinning the tunes, doing a spectacular job as he always does. It's the Chris Duel Show with/without Shannon Salty Sweeney for this week. She is on vacation. She'll be back next Monday in the new year. Next Monday will be January 3rd. But on January 2nd, Jeremy KOLOK, your friendly neighborhood soundscape stylist, will be at AT&T Stadium watching America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, take on the Arizona Cardinals. Have you been, Jeremy, to AT&T Stadium before?
Yes, this is random. I've been a few times, but not for its intended God-given purpose. I've been there for I've toured it, I think 2 or 3 times, at least twice. So I've been in the locker room. I've seen
Nice.
the locker when it said Tony Romo, and then I saw it again when it said Dak Prescott on it.
Woo!
So I saw 2 generations of locker room. And, you know, it's cool to be inside of it, and I've also been to college games there, and I one high school game, which is a cool experience too in
Yes.
its own right, but it's a different experience because, like I said, that's not the stadium's intended purpose. That's not what
True.
it's for. And I've been for I guess it's called the Cowboys kickoff, like the college football game that they have there sometimes to open up the
Yes.
season. Yeah, OSU had Florida State there to start the season, coming off Florida State's national championship. So
Whoa.
it was a football game that included Tyreek Hill and Jameis Winston
Oh, my
that I
goodness.
saw there. Yeah,
Wow.
it was. But I've like what I'm getting to is I've never been there for a Cowboy game, which I'm long overdue for, and I'm excited to do that soon. God
That
willing.
is great. We will expect a full report from you. And you've probably had this experience at the college games and the high school games. You've been there. I've been there for a few Cowboys games, and I was there for the first ever Cowboys game. They took on the New York Giants the night they opened that stadium. And speaking of locker rooms, Eli Manning, Giants beat the Cowboys that night, and Eli wrote his name on the visitors' locker room, something along the lines of "I own the Cowboys" or "I own this place."
I did see that.
Never liked it. Did you see that? Did you see the
Oh, yeah,
actual?
it's in the visitor locker room.
Yeah.
They put like plexiglass over it. He
Whoa.
put the date and he put the score, the final score. And it
Bastard.
says Eli Manning.
Rat bastard, Eli. So, but what I found out on opening night that night against the Giants, and subsequently when I've been back, it's that big screen, that giganto screen over the field. It's so huge, and it's like 4K, and it's high definition, and your eyes, at least my eyes, automatically go to the screen. So I'm at the game, but I'm watching the game on the big screen, and I have to keep telling myself, dude, put your eyes down on the field, watch it live, because you could watch it on the screen at home. Watch the action, look around, stop watching. I have to keep forcing myself not to look at the screen because the screen is so darn amazing.
Hey, man, Jerry's money all went into that screen, right? It's there for you to look at, I guess. I've heard that. I feel like a lot of people say that go there, that it's like overwhelming because it's also right in your face.
Yeah.
Especially the higher up you are.
Yeah, it's when you go up high, it's like it's
right
eye
there.
level with
It's
you.
so easy for you to just watch the game right there on that giant screen in your face. I get it.
Yeah, but it is it's such an amazing stadium. I hear SoFi Stadium, the new stadium in Los Angeles, where the Rams and the Chargers play, and where this Super Bowl will be this February. I hear it's, even like a generation more amazing than Cowboy Stadium, because, it was built like 10, 12 years later. But my goodness. All right, one more thing about last night's game in that stadium. The fight on the sidelines between Washington defensive tackles Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne, they're swinging at each other. They're on the same team. They're on the same defense. I mean, Ron Rivera, the head coach of Washington, known as being, he took Carolina to a Super Bowl. He was on those 85 Bears teams. He's known to be like a very good coach and a coach that instills discipline in his players. How awful is the look, Jeremy, that these two Washington football players, it was Jonathan Allen who took a swing at Darren Payne. And oh, by the way, these guys were teammates at Alabama. So you're taking a swing not only at your current Washington teammate, you're taking a swing at your former alma mater Alabama Crimson Tide teammate. That was just, as a Cowboys fan, I love seeing Washington melt down on the sidelines and wanting to fight each other because it's such a blowout, 56-14. But if I were a Washington fan, or if I were Ron Rivera, the coach, I would be none too happy with those dudes.
No, that's definitely not a good look. But the Washington football team is not, they're not unfamiliar with bad looks, are they? But
true.
Yeah. So yeah, well, it definitely wasn't a good look. This particular bad look was under the football operations, the actual on the field image and stuff, which is Ron Rivera, whereas the other stuff is deep rooted organizational issues, right? So this is something that, like you said, you don't really expect out of a Ron Rivera coach team based on his image, what people know about him based on his previous tenures. So it's definitely was a terrible look for them. I don't know how much lower they could get at this point. The Cowboys absolutely smacked them yesterday on primetime Sunday Night Football. But yeah, you never want to see that, even against your rival.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather see them argue it out, but not maybe once they took that swing, that's where it crossed the line for me. I'm like, all right, man, you can get these men out of here.
Yeah, that's you shouldn't take a swing at an opponent. I know heat of the battle, it can happen, but you don't take a swing at a teammate, at somebody on your team, and certainly not during a game. I know some fights happen in training camp, and I get that, but during a game, you are going into battle with your team, and yes, it might go bad, and yes, the going can get tough, but bad look, bad discipline, and all the weirder, Jeremy, that these are Alabama guys. So you came up under Nick Saban.
Yeah,
you would think Nick Saban would have taught you better than that. So you're even reflecting bad on your college experience.
It's just the fact that they were teammates in the first place in college, like you mentioned. It's were they not chill with each other in college? Was there something leading up to this?
Good point. You never know.
Hey man,
there might have been a woman involved. There might have been a woman one of them got, and the other one wanted.
You never know. Maybe somebody. maybe one of them feels like he just can't escape the other. He's like,
Yeah.
man,
It's like,
I
oh,
went
damn.
to Bama, and then this
Yeah.
dude was taking my reps, and now I finally get to the NFL, and there's 32 teams, and this guy goes to the exact same team as me, and he's taking my reps again. And Dak Prescott is killing us right now.
You know, it could happen. I mean, I once, some people have like listened to me I once worked with a guy named Chuck Booms. They paired me with a guy named Chuck Booms, and Chuck had a national radio show on Fox Sports radio show called Kylie and Booms. Chuck was the most annoying guy to work with. He was kind of a prima donna. God, I hate talking bad about him when he's not here to defend himself, but I mean, it never came to blows between me and Chuck Booms, but I can see being so annoyed with a coworker. It's like on the days he would like call in sick, I'd be like, oh, thank God. I get to like not have to deal with this guy today. So what you describe about if these guys felt that way about each other at Alabama, it's like, all right, finally I'm going to the NFL. And then there he is. Your very own Chuck Booms at Alabama. That's got to be rough. I do want to mention this. So many great storylines yesterday in the National Football League. And yes, the Baltimore Ravens were shorthanded. Yes, Lamar Jackson was out. Yes, they were down to their third string quarterback. And yes, the Cincinnati Bengals were supposed to win. But Joe Burrow, unlike Baker Mayfield, who I slammed earlier for not living up to his number 1 overall draft pick status, Joe Burrow yesterday, four touchdowns for the first time in his career, 525 yards through the air. I wish I had him on my fantasy team. No interceptions. The Cincinnati Bengals destroy the Baltimore Ravens 41-21. And they destroyed them earlier in the season at Baltimore. Oh, by the way, your thoughts on Joe Burrow, whose rookie year was cut short with that injury last year. Bengals all alone in first place now in that division. Nice game for Joe Burrow and the Bengals yesterday.
Yeah, he is so fun to watch now. I mean, obviously the injury was unfortunate and kind of took away some viewing pleasure of his rookie year and some development, but he is so fun to watch. I don't know what it is about the way he slings the ball around. I mean, he has weapons that he seems to be just getting better with by the minute. You know what I mean? They just like T. Higgins. I mean, T. Higgins had 2 touchdowns yesterday, I believe. And
yes.
Yeah, so
and a ton of yards.
Yeah, and obviously Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon has turned into a really, really good running back for them. I don't like him, but we don't even go into why. But he's really good just on the field. I mean, he's like a prototypical running back. If I was building a running back, I would probably build him kind of like Joe Mixon. So it seems like the weapons around him, they've done a good job kind of cultivating the offense in a way to get those weapons on the same page with Burrow or whatever. And their offensive line was atrocious last year. So just the fact that he's able to throw the ball without getting hit, I like watching the Bengals this year.
Now, the Ravens were favored coming into the season to win that division. The 2 games against the Ravens, 41-21 yesterday. It was 41-17 at Baltimore earlier in the season. You added up, the Bengals outscored the Ravens in the 2 games this season, 82-38. Just dominated them, 82-38. Nobody saw that coming.
No, and obviously when you're missing Lamar Jackson,
yes,
yeah, that you would like to have your starting quarterback out there, but still, I mean, that is not just missing. And Lamar played in the first matchup.
He did. Yeah.
You got to give it to Joe Burrow and them boys in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I like seeing new blood. You know, the Ravens, Steelers, and that division always atop that. It's just nice to see. Give me some new blood.
I agree.
Give me the Cowboys in the Super Bowl for crying out loud. Wow, great show, Jeremy. You were just on top of it for all 3 hours, man. Great on-air content, great music, great everything.
Thanks.
And you're back tomorrow, is that right?
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Very nice. We will be joined tomorrow by Taylor Estes of Horns 24/7. Derek Fox, the president and CEO of the Valero Alamo Bowl, is going to join us. I'm sure we will talk Spurs Huge night. Spurs can win 4 in a row tonight. They take on the Utah Jazz. That'll be on the Spurs Radio Network, 1200 WOAI out of San Antonio. Bill Schoening with the call. Tip-off 7:40 tonight. Pregame 7 o'clock with Bill. I'll be on that broadcast with Bill. We'll have Spurs React after the game. We'll get into that. Again, thanks to Jeremy for a tremendous job. Shannon Salty Sweeney on vacation this week. We'll see her next Monday. Thank you for joining the show over the airwaves and on the live video feed. We love having you on board. We do this for you. So enjoy your Monday, final Monday of 2021, and we will see you tomorrow. Adios, amigos. Woo! Woo! Yeah, Marcus remembers Chuck Booms. That was, that was like, I never went to Vietnam, but I did do radio with Chuck Booms, and that's probably the closest to a Vietnam flashback I'll ever have. It was not a pretty time in radio. But God love him. And I wish nothing but the best for Mr. Chuck Booms. I hope it's all going well for him now. All right. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, pole assassins, monkeys, farm animals, thanks for being here. Chuck sucks. There you go. Beth Daring, I give you the final word. I got some stories, but I won't tell them unless you know me real well and I'm off the air. Ralph Balderas, drive safely back home if you're driving. I don't know if you're driving or flying. All right, y'all. I am out of here. I'll be on Spurs React tonight after the Spurs game. Hopefully the Spurs win. Have yourself a great Monday. Be safe.